Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Woman's Cave. It's just me. So narcissistic me gets to say everything I want to say. Okay, I'm finished dancing, I promise. And if you notice behind me, there is no screen. Therefore, I am not in studio today. We got an emergency that we sure didn't plan for. We were in Richmond this weekend, and we got a phone call that we need to be in Philadelphia. So we couldn't make it yesterday because we had stuff to do. We had a place that we had signed up to be. So we went there. And then right after that, we headed out this morning to Philadelphia. I'm en route, although Jade is already there. It's actually Jade's emergency. It has nothing to do with me. But since I'm a best friend, it always has something to do with me. If you want to know anything about this emergency, you should probably check out our TV show on Channel 18 in Sacramento.
It's not an emergency.
It's Shashams. Anyway,
It's not an emergency. It's not an emergency.
Narcissism. Hello, Jade.
Hello, and welcome to the Women's Cave.
Really? I've been said this. It's nice to have you here.
Hi.
Okay, so anyway, we are en route, and we're going to be heading to where we're supposed to be soon. Yay! And anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and let Jade introduce our books.
Hello, you guys, and yes, I'm en route. And so, we are the authors and the co-authors of the And I Thought series and the And I Thought ladies. And I thought divorce was bad with other life lessons. And I thought being grown up was easy. And I thought I could juggle it all. And I thought I did my journey alone. And I thought I had it all figured out. A fiction episode 1.
And so you guys, you know what that means. Hollywood, if you're out there, the script is already done. Pilot episode 1. Just turn the pages and have the actors say the words. I'm ready. I'm already on TV. Make me a movie star. Oh, right. And the CD. There you go. Which is authentic, by the way. But we are not here to talk about us because you don't like it. So the analytics prove. So wonderful, beautiful, wonderful, wonderful guests, because I'm not Jade, so therefore I don't have that many adjectives. Please introduce yourself.
Hello there, I'm Marylin Hawes, and I'm CEO and founder of a child abuse charity in the UK, and it's called Enough Abuse UK. And we feature a training program right across the whole of the UK and Europe on identifying sexual grooming of children, and more importantly still, identifying the groomer and the person who is the risk. And we're doing that with great results.
I forgot to warn you guys that we only do 3 serious things a year, and this is one of the 3. So if you were tuning in for our normal silliness, check the next episode. So Ms. Hawes, I understand that you got started with this charity because you have a story that is very interlinked with abuse. I think that's the kindest, gentlest way to say that, right?
Yeah, no, I thought I'd save it until you said that bit. Yes, I was a teacher for many, many years in a school, a Church of England school, and the headmaster had been my best friend for many, many years. I first met him in church, and then I became a teacher at the school for 10 years, and it turned out I had no idea that he was a paedophile. And I learnt that in 2002 when the police turned up at my front door, and in they came and interviewed me for 9 hours to say they were investigating my friend, Jeff Carney, for abuse of children. And of course, I had been very friendly with them, and they said after the interviews of 9 hours, they said, we know that he has seriously groomed your children, and we don't know the rest yet, but he seriously groomed them. And I had no idea what that meant, absolutely no idea what that meant at all. And so I then sort of learned all about that, and I waited for the court case to go through, which was 6 months later, and I had to maintain the friendship because I was told you're a police witness. And I had to maintain that friendship and contact them. If he contacted me, it was absolute hell. Then in the February of 2003, he went to the magistrate's court and he was arrested and charged, and he finally said he was guilty. Then in the April, he went to the magistrate's court, where again he said he was guilty. And then they said, go to the Crown Court because it's too serious for us to deal with at a magistrate's court. So we waited till June, and then again he went, he said he was guilty again, and he basically walked away with a fine. That was it. And I thought, I don't think so. After what you've done, you absolutely deserve to go to prison. I'm sorry, you've been my best friend for 17 years, but, you know, it was a real problem. And I won the case. I wrote to the Attorney General. I wrote to the Lord Chancellor, who was in charge of the courts. I wrote to everybody. I was told by the police I couldn't do anything about it because I would be charged with contempt of court. And I said, well, I really don't care. I said, everything that was my life, I have now lost. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to go through with it. I'm going to see if I can win it. And I had no lawyers. I didn't have the money. And I won the case. I made the point with the Attorney General that it was unduly lenient. How could a head teacher of a Church of England school who had said he was guilty walk away with a fine? So I made a point, set out my case, and as the Attorney General said, yes, it is unduly lenient. He will now go to the High Court of Appeal, which is the, you know, where you see all over the world sometimes, very famous building. And there I saw him then charged, and he was sent to prison. So I won that. But then after that, I was very ill. I'd had a nervous breakdown. I tried to take my own life. I wasn't allowed in the court because the doctor said I was too ill. And I wrote a book. I was so upset. I thought, I don't understand how I missed any of this. I didn't understand what grooming was. And I wrote a book about how it feels to be the mother because I couldn't get an appropriate therapist. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just write a book because I think it's quite good to put things down in writing and I think it helps you. And I went through all the emotions that a parent goes through. And I wrote it in about 4 days and it was published in hardback, which I was really proud about. And then I thought, well, what did I miss? So I then produced a booklet. I spent a lot of time doing research, speaking to researchers and putting this book together, a small little booklet, but A5 size, for parents, because not everybody, even now, they may be in America, but not everybody in England is on the internet, still even now. So I thought, well, I'll do this booklet. And we sold thousands of them. And then I thought, well, actually, you are a teacher. So why don't you do what you've put in a book and make it into some sort of seminar? And that's what I did. And that all started off in 2004. And here we are 13 years later. And we cover everything now. We look at stalking. We look at domestic abuse, FGM, honor-based violence. It's just spread, domestic abuse, animal abuse, all sorts of stuff. If it's abuse, we've now got experts around us and in our team that can lend a hand. And but you know, there we are. We're a charity. We have no funding, and it's hard work. And I think it's shocking. It must be as rife in your country as it is in ours. And I think it's dreadful that with this being such a damaging thing to have in a child's life, it's so impacting your child's future, the potential of the person you might be, the mental health. I don't know, is it bad in America, mental health issues? I don't know.
Jade, did you have anything to say?
Yeah, they do deal with it. I mean, I think it's just now that we're starting to talk about it more and more in this country, especially about child abuse. You know, I think a lot of people didn't even want to admit that it was happening.
That's right. That's the trouble, and we've got it here. It's the same here. You cannot get parents to engage. It's so difficult. I mean, it's getting easier. There was a time when a school would never ever say, "Oh, can you talk to the parents?" That now is beginning to happen. But I suppose in this country, and I don't know much about America, but I mean, there was a time nobody ever talked about cancer. It was always shh, it's the C word. You know, nobody ever talked about mental health. And now, thanks to the royal family, they really, with the marathon, the London Marathon, they really highlighted mental health, and now everybody talks about it. What they didn't talk about, which has to be talked about, is the reasons behind so much mental health. And a very high percentage of it, maybe, I mean, over 70%, goes back to awful issues that were unimaginable in a child's life that have caused, you know, the trauma causes the cortisol to spike. We don't, you know, it's not just adrenaline, it's the cortisol that is so dangerous, and that spikes and it eats away at the healthy brain cells, and it changes the landscape of the brain, and it breaks the neural pathways, and that then in turn lays the way clear to getting into addictions and things like that. And I'm a massive believer in, if we can sort these youngsters out when they are manifesting poor behaviors and ask the reasons why and drill down into the why, then we have a better chance of actually reducing some of this. You'll never stop abuse. That would be insane. It might be my eternal dream, but it's never going to happen because it's something that happens with the human condition through that brokenness. But we can do a much better job. And sticking your head in the ground and being an ostrich and not accepting that it's happening all around you is not helpful, and it's not responsible.
I have to say that you had asked about America, and I remember watching a show and you were like, well, I think it's awesome that the royal family. And you thought it was awesome that the royal family came out and said something about mental health and stuff like that. And he was like, because, you know, here in America, that, you know, something tragic happens, the first response is find a therapist. So for the poorest member of U.S., there is a therapist available. There's free therapists, there's walking.
Absolutely.
There's just a ton of therapists.
You see, that's the trouble. That's the trouble in England. The mental health support is appalling. We have a thing here called CAMHS, CAMHS, and that's the Children and Adolescent Mental Health Support, okay, or mental health services, right? Well, you have to fit a threshold to be forwarded and referred. But even then, in many counties here, in your case, states, it can be 18 months before you're seen, by which time that child's mental health has nosedived into a very dark pit. And, you know, with the Jimmy Savile thing that came out, I mean, it's probably fair to say
we don't know him, sorry.
And then more people have come out and reported, which is wonderful. But when people report and they disclose, they need to be caught, they need to be captured and held through the next stage of their life. And we don't have the mental health in England. The support is disgraceful. And, you know, we were promised last year by the government there'd be £3 million, which is a drop in the ocean. £3 million would be put into therapy for mental health, dealing with the abused people. Well, I don't know any therapists that have seen a penny of it. So where's the money gone? You know, it's appalling.
I think
and my wish for this charity is, my desire for the charity is, our training is working. We absolutely are identifying the children that are having issues in the very early years. We are definitely identifying the people who are the risk. The byproduct of our training, which I never actually thought about, is it's triggering the people in the audience. Because the training is so real, because I demonstrate grooming, I groom a teddy bear, I groom the audience to make them see that this thing called grooming is you're watching a covert relationship, you're watching a courtship, if you like, a romance that is wrong and covert develop. So you can't say, oh, you know, it's a box of matches, or oh, look, it's a pen. You can't show. The only way you can show someone what grooming is to do the role play. And in doing the role play and people experiencing, I choose people in the audience that are going to be and a child. I use a teddy bear. So here's Meet Joe. I use my teddy. You'll see him on my YouTube channel. And I sit him on my lap and I do all sorts of things and I whisper in his ear. And this is bringing out more and more and more adults going, I've never told anyone before. And I want some money. And there is money. People have got money. I just want someone to make some donations so that I can say, great, now here's a therapist. You know, here's the right therapist. There's too many people here. You will have heard of our National Health Service. Yeah? You'd have heard the National Health Service. The National Health Service.
Definitely.
You go to the doctor, and the doctor, you'll get sort of 6, maybe 8 free sessions, and that's it. You can't talk about this stuff in 6 hours and think you're through it. It's impossible.
Jade, you have something to say? Jade?
Well, now that she went on and said that she had to like demonstrate what grooming is, I was gonna ask her if she could like lightly define what grooming is. Or give us like the first 5 steps of grooming so our audience will know, maybe to look out for that if they're in the healthcare field or, you know, school teachers or just moms and dads or even children.
Yeah,
I can explain maybe the first 5 steps.
I'm very happy to email you some of my documents. I don't know if you have viewers email into you, do you, or ask for information?
Yes, we do. We have people
just in case they do ask on this one, because we normally handle only domestic abuse, so we're definitely going to need.
Okay, fine. Well, of course, domestic abuse absolutely links with sexual abuse. If you've got the domestic abuse going on somewhere in that mix, there will be sexual abuse, and animal abuse is linked, and arson, funnily enough, is linked, especially with boys. It's not uncommon for children to want to set fire to the very place where they're going to be abused. So maybe, you know, you think, oh, my father's coming in tonight, it's going to happen on this settee, on this sofa. So it's not unusual for the child to set fire to the sofa to try and distract. Arson is a very common one that's coming more and more on the radar, which funnily enough was actually picked up about 6 years ago in America, and then our lot over here started researching it. But you are looking at person who, first of all, you will feel that quirky feeling, that feeling that somebody isn't right. Your stomach is your second brain. If you get that feeling of that I don't feel right about that person, then don't even get close to them. And I use a lot of visual aids in the training, and I use a lot of analogy. And I would say, you know, if you how does the bird know the cat is a predator? It senses with its instinct. It goes and it flies away, and it watches, it observes. We don't do that. We think, that person's weird, and then we don't do anything with it. We go, oh, it can't be. I think I've lost you. I think I've lost the link. Are you back? There you are.
No, we're good. We're good. No, we were here.
You were there, fine. You can't, you know, this feeling of, you know, we block it with our logic. Oh, it can't be, it's my best friend. It can't be, it's dad's friend. It can't be, it's auntie, because women abuse too. It can't be, it's grandma. It can't be, it's the swimming coach. No, it can't be, it's the head teacher. No, this isn't making sense. So what I have felt in my gut, in my solar plexus, I am not going to respond to because my logical mind has blocked it. That's where the danger sits. If you feel it in your stomach, that quirky feeling of this person will show exaggerated interest in your child, maybe only one of your 3 or 4 children. It may have a certain, maybe it likes blonde-haired children or dark-haired children. Maybe they has a preference for girls or boys. This child will be vulnerable. They will target a family that are also perceived to be vulnerable. So if you've got parents that are strongly united in their parenting and very robust, they are less likely to be infiltrated, because there's plenty of people these days that are vulnerable. So you might be vulnerable because your husband has a job that makes him work away a lot. That's what his job is. It doesn't mean to say that the marriage itself is in difficulty, but a mother with 4 young children with a father working away a lot would have problems and needs help. And these people can sort of schmooze around you. They will be your best friend. They will be the friend that everybody envies. And I beg anyone to say, please listen, because if you are the chosen person, if you have been cherry-picked to be groomed by this person, because the adults will be groomed first, if you have been chosen by that person and the child has been chosen as well, you will be so sucked in to this person's attention, you won't feel it in the same way that your friends or family or neighbors or colleagues on the outside watching in will sense things that you may not, because you become dependent. They make sure that you become dependent on them. So in my case, you know, I was homeless with 4 children. I was struggling with several teaching jobs. So he looked after them for me, you know, and I was so busy, so thinking about other things, all the plates spinning. Oh, thank goodness, somebody can help me, thank you. Now, lots of people, when it got to the court, lots of my friends, even my sister and her husband, said, oh, we always knew he was weird. Well, thank you very much. Why didn't you tell me? Because the person who's in the thick of it is vulnerable, is being groomed, is so reliant on that person, you can't think straight. And other people around you, everybody needs to look out for everybody else. And, you know, you feel it. I do a lot of work with the police, and there's a chief constable over here up in the north of England, and he says to, you know, you're quite right. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. Exactly. And do what the bird says, put distance and watch. No one's saying phone the police at that stage. Write down what you saw. The exaggerated gifts, the person who's always wanting to be with the child. So say you've got a family barbecue going on, and, you know, the uncle or someone who is overly selfless, you know, oh no, I don't mind if my burger's cold and my beer is warm. I love children. I will play with the children. Well, I love children. I don't mind playing tennis or football with them for 10 minutes, but I'd rather be with my mates. So, you know, there's a time of being with children that, you know, okay, you know, I've played for them for 10 minutes. It's your turn now, Jade. You know, you don't spend the whole time going, I want to spend with them all the time. And I don't know, I'll take them off your hands. I'll go and sit in a room quietly where no one's listening. And, you know, we'll play cards or chess or watch TV together. Any excuse to get that child away. Overly exaggerated attention that gives you that really strange feeling. And they will target, you know, if you're in any way vulnerable. I go into prisons and I talk to these people, and they say, there's 4 things that are memorable. They say, abusers, what we do, we fish for children who take the bait. So we look for things that are on trend. And then we've targeted our vulnerable family and the child, and then we'll start grooming, giving gifts and things to the parents that they like, the bait and the child. The second thing they say is, and they laugh, parents are naive about grooming, that's why it's so easy to abuse children. Now that's chilling, but it's true. The third thing they say is, we smell vulnerability like French perfume. We actually choose our next victim by the micro movements in their behavior. So somebody walking with their head down, somebody who's vulnerable, they smell the vulnerability, they can judge it, and they are assessing all the time. These people are expert people watchers, and the crime that they mete out on people is the best con trick ever. It is absolutely duplicitous, and it's self-gratifying.
I have to say, first of all, I'm so sorry that we are running out of time.
We are. I have one more question. I
was going to ask a question. Can I ask one? Go ahead, Jade.
Okay. I want to know the top 2 things that parents should tell their children about adults, you know, like what they should look out for, what they should tell their children, like, don't let someone do this or don't do that. What are the top 2 things?
Don't be encouraged to go off with people that are talking in your ear. This sort of thing here, you know, don't tell mummy, it's our little secret. Don't you dare, you won't be believed. Once all that whispering, you're precious, you're special. And once they say the threats, mummy will die. You know, all that stuff goes in, and that's why the children are terrified of speaking out, because it's a form of bullying. And if you've been bullied, I was bullied at school, I still remember the name of the girl that did it, you know, and I'm still frightened of the name Hillary. It is bullying, and it's brainwashing. And really the child, because the child's vulnerable, I can send you, if they go on my website, guide people to my website, and I've got a document on parental resources that is age specific. From the age of a child is 1, what sort of books to show them. I can send anyone that emails me the breakdown of behaviors an abuser will do. I can send them my booklet electronically. They are very welcome to email me, and I can give them all they want. Go on my YouTube channel, watch me groom the teddy bear. You won't look at a teddy the same way again, I tell you.
Could you please tell us that website?
It's enoughabuseuk.com, ENOUGH, Enough Abuse uk.com. But the behaviors of the children are a massive clue. If the child's behavior changes negatively, you've got to ask yourself why. We had some case studies, if I may just tell you these, of 3 little children. Are you able to prevent abuse? Do you acknowledge it's rife? Do you believe it's rife? Are you listening, and are you educating? Are you listening? That means listening to what the children are saying. These young children do not have the language skills, so they express their confusion and their unrest in their behaviors. But the things they say, don't forget, this is a game. This is our little game. We're going to play a little game against mummy and daddy. What child doesn't want to do that? Remember what it's like to be a child. But there's 3 case studies that I came across in a children's centre, like a nursery school that I was in, where 3 times on 3 occasions these children's behaviour had changed negatively to pooing their pants, hitting their head on a wall, very regressed behaviour, but also quite violent. Lovely children that went off the wall. And I said, well, what are they saying? Are they saying anything? And on all 3 occasions, they had started, in line with that behaviour, they'd started saying different things. And one was that the cousin had started coming round to play Thomas the Tank Engine. Now, this game started as the behaviour dropped. So we played the game. The tunnel wasn't what we thought, neither was the engine. You work it out. Then we had a father who was putting his hanky in his daughter's pocket. And that again came on and on. She kept talking about this all the time. This behaviour had changed. So we played the game. We get another disclosure. Then there was another boy, Simon, and he sort of almost got it. He said to his mum, oh, mummy, our neighbour, Stephen, he comes round every Saturday morning when you're out and daddy's here, and he asks if I'd like to suck his toffees in his bag. And mummy said, that's nice. I hope you thank him. So what are these children saying? What nicknames are the children calling their teachers? So the girl that started this charity with me was Jo Evans, and her abuser was the head teacher at a school, and his name was Robert Peverett. You'll find him on the internet, Robert Peverett. The girls at 11 years old, 12 years old were running around the school calling him Pervy Pev. Well, no one asked, why do you call him that? Well, he was going into the girls' dormitories, touching them up and bathing them, and the matron turned a blind eye at a boarding school. So what are the children saying? Big clue. And animal abuse. I have yet to find offenders that were not abusing animals by the age of 5 or 6. They start with animals and insects, and that's a massive clue.
Wow. I want to thank you so much for being here. We don't even have time for my next question.
We're going to have a part 2 probably, you guys, so get ready for maybe 4 serious things a year.
So actually, we will be in England in 14 days. So we would like to do part 2 while we're there.
Okay, I'd love to. I do thank you. And please get this out. EnoughAbuseUK.com. Email me. I will send at no cost. People want to make a donation, please. There's a button on the website. But I'll send them the information that will clear the picture for them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye from England.
Oh, hold on. I'm just going to wrap up.
We're going to wrap up.
Yeah, so this has been the Todd from EnoughAbuse.UK. And we are the Thought Ladies, the co-authors and co-hosts of the show, co-authors of the wonderful In the I Thought series. Voila.
And with 11 other wonderful, beautiful, gorgeous ladies, because Jade is actually here.
Yeah, that's true. So she actually got the adjective correct. And I'd like to say real quick that after we have talked about abuse and the charity all day, I forgot to mention that we do have charities that we support. One of them is probably going to start being EnoughAbuse.UK. It'll probably be at the bottom of our page, the ladies page. But if you go to our website, www.andwethought.com, click on the ladies tab, go all the way down to the bottom, and you will find the charities that we support. And we'd love for you guys to help them out because they do wonderful, great work. And once again, I don't have all those adjectives. Always, you can check out what we're doing at andwethought.com. You can pick up our books on Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com. And my absolute favorite thing to say is watch us on Channel 18 at Sacramento, California, because we have our own TV show. And if you can't find it there, you can go to Amazon.com. And it's just right in WRITIN, Light. Jade, any closing?
Start with episode 2 or 3. No, that's better. Also, I just want to say that wisdom is all around you. If
you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Winona
and Jade.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.